Off the line, the extremely tall gearing of the Ferraris gave their opposition a chance to tuck in behind them. Ginther led, with Clark obscured behind him. Heading for the banking for the first time, Ginther still led Clark, with 3 Ferraris close behind. At the end of the first lap, the order was Phil Hill, Ginther, Rodriguez, Clark, Brabham, Von Trips, Baghetti, Bonnier, Gurney and Moss. The racing was frantic. Positions were changing constantly. At the end of this straight, Clark and Von Trips collided. Clark spun to a rest, but the Ferrari went up the grass banking. Tragically, Von Trips and 14 spectators were killed. The race continued, with the order now Hill, Ginther, Rodriguez, Baghetti and Brabham. Moss was sandwiched between the Porsches of Gurney and Bonnier. On the next lap, Surtees and Bonnier collided, and the Porsche had to retire. The race continued, with the drivers unaware of the extent of the tragedy. The RAC's Dean Delamont congratulated John Cooper, delighted to see that Brabham could live with the 4 leading Ferraris. But it didn't last, and the Ferraris shot by without Brabham, and Jack brought the car into the pits. The new V8 had teething troubles, but it had at least proved that it had the power to stay with the Ferraris. Then the Scuderia lost 3 cars in quick succession. Rodriguez and Baghetti retired on lap 13 and Ginther on lap 24, all with engine trouble. Moss fought a long battle with Gurney's Porsche, but he eventually retired with front wheel bearing failure. Gurney's Porsche was thus second, some distance behind Phil Hill. Phil Hill took the checkered flag, unaware of the death of his teammate Von Trips. Gurney was second and McLaren third. Privateer Jack Lewis in his Cooper just held off Brooks over the line for 4th. For the Ferrari team, though, there was little joy in Hill's victory.
Attending practice for the Italian Grand Prix, Stirling Moss enjoying the sun and the sensations of watching a big-time speed event. Right from the start, the race resolved itself into a follow-man leader, with Graham Hill and the BRM setting the pace. America's Richie Ginther in another BRM drove steadily in second position. The BRM is now well in the lead for the Manufacturers' World Championship. Hill was driving magnificently, over 300 miles at over 120 miles an hour. This victory consolidates his lead for the world title. Pretty astonishing. Before this year, he'd never won a Grand Prix.
From the hill across the orchard, we could see the pit straight as we watched for the 13 cars that would start the race. Clark duly took the lead, followed by Taylor, Bonnier, Siffert, Anderson, Bandini, with the rest straggling out behind. Immediately, Jim Clark began to draw away. Bonnier was now up to second, Trevor Taylor having stopped with gearbox trouble. Joe was lapping around the 100-mile-an-hour mark, with Siffert now in third place behind him. The little Ford-engined Brabham was mixing it with the Porsche and a four-cylinder Lotus, surprising everybody with its speed. The race had become a little processional. Clark was touring around in a comfortable lead, with only Siffert on the same lap. Taylor, with his car now repaired, went out again, and though many laps behind, was pushing hard, enjoying himself and setting fastest lap in the process. Clark took the checkered flag after 50 laps, winner of the Imola Grand Prix, and a promising start for his season. Bob Anderson finished second in his Lola V8 after Siffert had been forced to retire. Although a walkover for Clark, it had been a fast and enjoyable race.
Still Gurney from Clark. Then Gurney shoves a rod through the side of the Eagle, and Jim's in front. Clark has had a puncture and lies one lap adrift. More bad luck for Hill, whose engine has gone beyond the point of no return. A season's run of ill fortune hasn't affected the patience and good humor of this popular driver. Fortunes change rapidly, but now it's Brabham and Surtees. Then, the impossible, with a lap made up and Clark into the lead. What a climax for the last lap. Clark missing, and Brabham leads Surtees. Wrong. Surtees takes Brabham. Photo finish. Surtees by 1 frame in our camera. That's a 48th of a second. Clark gets a special roar from the crowd. The margin between champagne and orangeade is a slight hesitation of a fuel pump on the last lap.
I won the race by about this much from Jochen Rindt, and the crowd went absolutely bananas. They suddenly were on top of us and the police were trying to keep them back. We ended up by locking ourselves in a toilet, and they were still outside banging the doors trying to get in. There's no more enthusiastic a crowd of spectators than that of the Italians. They really follow the motor racing with a passion. They're so spirited, they're so enthusiastic. From that point of view, Monza, it's certainly the capital of the world.
5 seconds slower than pole sitter Jim Clark in the H16 BRM-engined Lotus. In the event, the race was won for Ferrari by a man from Turin, who only occasionally drove in Grand Prix cars. In fact, over 4 years, this was only his 6th Grand Prix, Ludovico Scarfiotti. And so Scarfiotti's victory had fulfilled the promise so ardently expected from him by the Ferrari team management. Brabham took the 1966 title, becoming the first man in history to win the championship in a car bearing his own name.
El siguiente Gran Premio fue el de Italia, en Monza. Honda presentó un segundo RA301 pilotado por David Hobbs. Jack Hicks esperaba ganar con el equipo de casa. John Surtees logró con su Honda la pole. Gus McLaren y Chris Amon completaron la primera fila. En Monza brilló el sol por primera vez en meses. Hacía un día magnífico y Surtees salía en cabeza. McLaren se puso primero al completar la primera vuelta y detrás comenzó un emocionante duelo. Amon se estrelló y Surtees chocó contra la valla tratando de evitar al Ferrari. Después se inició otra batalla entre McLaren, Stewart, Schiffer y Hulme. Hill se retiró al salírsele una rueda a su Lotus. McLaren perdió puestos al entrar a boxes para cambiar el aceite. Hulme conseguía así ir aumentando su ventaja. A Stewart le comenzó a dar fallos el motor en la vuelta 43 y Schiffer se retiró por un problema en la suspensión trasera. Denny Hulme obtuvo una fácil victoria. El neozelandés se situó a tercero en el mundial por detrás de Hill y de Stewart.